Hello and welcome to Finding Your North Star, the hgkc podcast series where we talk to prominent business people about their experiences and challenges of innovation. In this, our Somerset Stories series of podcasts, we're inviting our guests to share both their personal experience and a strategic perspective of a county that presents a unique combination of challenges and opportunities. Hinkley Point C and Agratas have turned Bridgewater into a boomtown. Yeovil is one of the biggest concentrations of precision engineering in Europe, and a college that is offering apprenticeships at every level to record numbers of students. But Somerset is a county with a declining birth rate that many people retire to or drive through on their way to their holiday homes in Devon and Cornwall. It's an area of outstanding natural beauty: the Mendip, Blackdown, Quintana Hills, Exmoor National Park, the Somerset Levels and moors, but with poor local transport links and a shortage of affordable housing and low social mobility. I'm Peter Quintana, and I'm delighted to be joined in this episode by Jamie Cox, Chief Executive Officer of Somerset County Cricket Club. So welcome, Jamie. Welcome to the show.
Morning, Peter. Delighted to join you. Thank you. Thanks for the invitation.
It's a pleasure. I think I should point out to our listeners right from the get-go that you're not actually Australian, are you?
No, I'm not. I'm Tasmanian, which
Exactly.
often gets confused. No, I jokingly say that, but no, I'm proud Australian. I've somehow managed to maintain a very strong Australian accent, which does tend to make some people jump back, but I'm an equally proud Somerset person as well. So
Yeah.
I live this dual life.
Yeah. So I know you played for and captained Somerset in the early 2000s, didn't you? And according to the website, you have the record for most runs in a first-class match versus Hampshire, 345 in 2 innings.
Okay, I didn't know that. Okay, thank you for
More
reminding
than
me.
I've ever scored, anyway. So can you start by reflecting on your career as a cricketer and what initially brought you to Somerset to play for the county, and then what brought you back here?
Sure, thank you. Look, I was a classic Aussie or Tasmanian kid, country kid. I grew up playing Australian rules football as my football code in the winter and cricket in the summer. I had a sporting family, so I just naturally led into it, and grew up in a small country town. Sport is generally thriving in small country Tasmanian towns. I guess one thing led to another. I just found the local cricket club, followed my sporting career. I had an opportunity to play AFL at a high level. At the same time, cricket was blossoming and chose cricket. And it just led me on the most wonderful journey. Look, ultimately, I didn't quite get what I wanted. I was desperate to play for Australia. I was potentially on the cusp, but never quite got there. But just had this incredible life playing cricket for Tasmania. And ultimately Somerset, as you mentioned, because in those days, the game's changed a lot in the last 20 years. It was very much a career of aspiration in those days. I never saw myself as a cricketer. I never wrote cricketer or sportsman on my tax return. I was always doing something else.
Right.
And therefore, the money I made from the game, it was never a lot, but I never really cared about it too much. It was really the love of the game and the aspiration to try and play at another level that drove me through my career. So It's been a fortunate existence, pretty serendipitous, if I'm honest, and it finds me back here today.
So how did you get to come back to Somerset? Because I guess you played here for, I don't know how many, 3 or 4 or 5 years, and then went. Did you go back to Tasmania after that, or?
Yeah, I did. I had 6 years, and that's probably the last 6 years of my first-class playing career. I knew nothing about Somerset, really, but when I got recruited, I was probably 29 or 30, so probably my prime playing years, but also deep in my playing career. Also the time where you're meeting a lady and starting a family. So it was a great time of life to be coming to Somerset and meet a very similar and like-minded group of people, and a place where those things blossomed, if I'm quite honest. It was very opportunistic. I had a call from Dermot Reeve at the time, who was the coach of the club, to say would I be interested in coming to play and captain, which was quite a big suggestion. I was just about to take over the captaincy of my home state, Tasmania, so it was that stage of my career where I was thinking about leadership. And in all honesty, I didn't really think about it too hard. It was like, what a great opportunity. At that stage, I was very determined to try and still play for Australia, so playing some county cricket felt like a great way to help prepare for maybe an Ashes tour upcoming. I jumped at the opportunity. Look, it was a 1-year contract, which turned into a 6-year life-changing episode. It was just a wonderful thing for me to be able to do, in that we made lifelong friends. I loved the place immediately. I was pretty lucky that when I landed, I had some early success, which I think helped people appreciate that I could play a bit, because I think if I hadn't, it would have been a different existence. But Fast forward 20 years, and I took up a job at the MCC at Lords for 2.5 years, right at the tail end of COVID. So it was a tricky time, but relocated life to London, had 2.5 years working as the Director of Cricket and Operations at Lords. And it just turns out my boss at Lords was Guy Lavender, who was previously the CEO here back in the 2010s. And when the opportunity came up to come back, look, I wasn't looking for another job, but it was too good to resist. It was a place I loved. We were keen to get out of London. We'd done 2.5 years in London and thought, let's go back to the country.
Yeah.
But I do have a real love, genuine love and belief in this region. And I thought the club's in good shape, but needs to evolve and needs to change. What a great project. So here I am, and excited about where our club's at and the opportunity ahead of us.
I heard you speak at the recent launch of the Somerset Chamber Elevate Network.
Yep.
You outlined a significant vision, not just for the cricket club, but the county ground itself. The ground is very beautiful. I'm sure there are many traditional cricket supporters that might want you to preserve it as it is. What challenges do you foresee in achieving the transformation you've set out to achieve?
Yeah, look, it is beautiful. We love it, and people love coming here. It's one of our great assets is that we have strong membership. We're a strong cricket region, and whatever we put on the ground, people attend. And some of my peers are very jealous of that. It's not something which is enjoyed across the country. So we do have some great bones, I'd call it, in the club, but we also know our infrastructure is ageing. Modern sport requires you to upgrade that and give your members and spectators the best viewing experience, as well as your players the best opportunity to enhance their careers. So we can't stand still, and you'll appreciate that replacing infrastructure is pretty expensive, and we therefore need to plot and plan our way through, because the game of cricket, look, it's evolving at rate, at knots. The sale of the 100 program and teams has created this interesting bifurcation of the top of the games departing, and it's also provided us an opportunity with some of the capital from that to set our own destiny. So it's what I call a future with a nice balance of opportunity and jeopardy, but which we have to get right.
Yeah, absolutely. What are the most pressing challenges the club faces? And I don't mean competitively, so I know you're pretty competitive in all forms, including women's cricket, about skills, recruitment, infrastructure. You've mentioned other things that might be challenging for the club.
Yeah, so if I was to summarise it best, I'd say our most prominent challenge is a strength can be a weakness in some ways. We've got a very successful cricket business in that the cricket business has let this club operate successfully for a long time. We trade in surplus, which a lot of my peers can't claim, and that's a great starting point. However, what we've seen is that there's a sort of a natural cricket inflation, which has been caused by, it's just there anyway, but it's been accelerated by the 100 sale and the professionalisation of the game.
Yeah.
It's escalating, the costs escalate, and therefore we have to grow, we have to move, and our projections suggest if we just rely on cricket to do that, we can't get any more cricket content. We can't charge much more for our cricket content. We can't fit many more people into our ground. So the economics are pretty simple. We have to find other ways to diversify our revenues. And we immediately think we've got an incredible asset here at the county ground, which has got lots of incredible infrastructure to drive other events and to really diversify what it is that we offer. Whilst I need to make the point really clearly, we have to keep the main thing. We're a cricket club. The only reason we have to run a business in surplus is to invest in our cricket product, our cricket infrastructure and our cricket players.
Yeah.
But the business demands are real. We have to get moving. We've got to get quite clever about how we run our business from here on. But the great thing is, as I said, is we're starting from a good position with suddenly a chunky piece of capital for us to reset and figure out what our future looks like, which is, it's pretty exciting.
How has Somerset's availability or shortage of housing impacted your ability to attract and retain players and support staff?
I would say indirectly, like we have recruitment challenges. It's not just the housing shortage that would drive that. You need to target the right kind of person in the right kind of life circumstances. From a playing perspective, we find two things shine. One is You might get somebody used to a non-city environment that is quite happy to relocate to the southwest and loves everything about the quieter lifestyle in the southwest. Someone who's maybe starting a family and really keen on the schools in the local area and the quieter life in the southwest, and similar with trying to recruit staff. But look, Peter, it does have its challenges trying to attract people from elsewhere into Somerset. And yeah, I sometimes get challenged by this myself, because of what we do know is that once we do get people, and I'm an example of that, once we do get people to relocate, they love it and often don't leave.
Yeah, exactly.
But to actually take the leap to come down to Somerset, for some, is a big decision if they have choice to potentially go and live in London or go and live in the closer to the bright lights somewhere. So we really do in our recruitment target people who do appear and look as though they are ready and really going to embrace the lifestyle down here if looking to make a move.
I think that's interesting. Don't think about choice between Somerset and the bright lights. And we find that a lot with the young people that are born here, go to school here, come out of school, look around the county or around the towns that they live in and think, okay, where am I going to live? Where am I going to work? Maybe they're looking at Bristol or Exeter, depending where they are in the county, or London. They think those brighter lights there's more to offer me there. It's a challenge. And we have a net outflow of young people from the county.
Yeah, and Peter, you'll probably have heard at the Chamber of Commerce function, we know we've got a powerful brand. We know we've got a powerful sporting brand, and we know we've got a prominent spot in the county and in the town of Taunton. So one of our real ambitions is to as we grow, to help grow the region. We think with the opportunity that we've got and the connection that we have in the region, that our success naturally transposes out into the community. So we are very conscious of that. I've got friends whose young ones have done exactly what you say, have moved away for opportunity. And there'll probably always be certain career choices where people do need to move away. But we also hear some great stories of people wanting to come back at some stage. And we're talking about a few of those off air. So I don't think the region sings loudly enough about the lifestyle down here, about the opportunities. I'm a Tasmanian by birth, and there are some similarities down here. And Tasmania, as a state, I spent my whole life defending it, and it's the little pimple off the bottom of mainland Australia. Yeah. And somewhere about 20 years ago, which ironically about when I left, it started to what I call celebrate its smallness.
Yes.
And it started to, as a consequence, really invest heavily in tourism. A lot of boutique industries popped up, whether they be gin distilleries or wineries or little food outlets, popped up around Tasmania and just made it this incredible destination with everything it already had, with the fresh air, outdoor lifestyle, bushwalking, if you love it, great golf courses, great surf beaches. Tasmania suddenly identified itself differently and really started to promote and market itself as a destination. And I often say that story and ask people, does that sound similar? Does that sound familiar, as though there is a lifestyle down here? When I talk to my friends in London, they say, oh, yeah, it sounds really nice down there. We've never been there. This sort of story shines through. I was in London when the 100 sale started, and it started working at Lord's, and you find yourself introduced to some incredibly wealthy people who are looking at purchasing these assets. One in particular told me a story who was interested because Somerset at the time, we were looking at, can we be the next expansion club? And if we were, who are we competing with? And one of the common stories is potentially a third London club. He actually said, Jamie, you should never be competing with a London club, because he said, I've got money, I live in London, work in London, but I've got a property in Devon. And I spend a lot of time every year on M4, M5, getting to my property down in Devon. Part of your secret is you've got billions of pounds that drives past your junction every summer. You've got to figure out a way to get them to stop.
Yeah, exactly.
And spend some of that money in the local area. So that message has never left me. And I do think there is an incredible opportunity with some of, you mentioned some of the industry that's re-establishing itself down here in the southwest, which means there'll be some skilled workers coming into the region who are also going to want stuff to do and reasons to stay and reasons to spend their money and invest in the town, in the region. So I think there's some really good stories on top of some of the challenges we have to really help lift the mood of the region because I guess I'm a great believer in storytelling, and that alone won't lift things. But I do think if you can move the dial and for people to start to feel good about where they live, it can have an impact, and that's certainly something we're looking to promote.
Yeah, and I say you've got a fantastic asset and a beautiful place in the middle of Taunton to do that. We have a serious social mobility challenge in Somerset, so lots of people down in the southwest corner on the coast, young people there. But how do you think we can better support those young people to develop skills and build their careers locally, to take advantage of things like what's going on in Taunton with you, what's going on around Bridgewater with Agratas in particular? Hinkley Point is winding down now, to address issues such as youth retention, because we don't keep the young people here, we don't attract them back here after university, then we lose a lot of lifeblood from the county, don't we?
Yeah, to attend some events and hear people involved with some of these massive industries that are moving to the region speak. I'm a great believer that industry builds opportunity, and it's a pretty simple case, right? People moving to the region have to be supported. They've got to live their lives. So it can only provide opportunity for the right people to invest and grow, and the whole thing can snowball. We're not quite the same size as an Agratas, but we think we can have a similar impact I talk about this mood. And for us, for example, to be competitive in a national sense and really lift the pride of the region, I think that goes a long way for people to feel good about what their region is doing in a national sense. Now, I know that doesn't necessarily immediately turn into pounds in people's back pockets, but if people feel good about life and if they feel good about something, then I think it inspires them to go out and find something to actually help satisfy their own needs. And we can have an impact, I think, in a real sense. As we diversify, we'll create opportunities at the ground, at the club, for young people to come and work here, just not in our cricket business, but in our events business and in our conferencing and events side of the game. So there, we can have an impact, I think, in that space. But I think our greatest impact as a club is, as I said, to help people just feel good about what their region can do, how it can compete, how that people who grow up and live in this area can actually, in our case, do something on the global stage. I do think that story matters.
Yeah, I do. I agree with you. I think it's interesting. So as Somerset Cricket Club becomes more successful, if those successes start to get shared, and I've been following the T20 Women's World Cup. So Charlie Dean's a Somerset player, isn't she? She's captain of England 2020. She's having a fantastic tournament so far. How do you get those stories out? And particularly, again, to young people, maybe young people who are thinking about playing cricket, how do you think you can amplify that? Because that's what you're talking about, isn't it? If we can amplify those sorts of things, get the message out there that this is not just a great place to live and work, but it's also got a great cricket team and it's a great place to actually work and go and watch cricket as well. There's a lot of story in there, I agree with you, but it's how do you get it out?
Yeah, so a great live example. Charlie is an incredible young woman. She's just a beautiful personality, strong competitor, and has made herself a very good career in the women's game, which is continuing to grow, but it's already become a very viable career for now young girls to follow. Now, we're a great believer in, there's a great old phrase, you can only be what you can see. And Charlie and Heather Knight, who grew up down in the southwest, Danny Gibson's another, who's in that Women's World Cup team, that you go back 10 years, they wouldn't have had the opportunity they've got now, maybe a bit longer, because the women's game has certainly been strong for that period of time now. So we are determined, as part of our growth program down here, we're very fortunate to be a Tier 1 women's team. We're one of 10 now that play in the England Tier 1 women's competition. And our team is mainly made up of young Southwest women.
Yeah.
And we're very determined. Our men's program has been very successful at driving our own. We don't recruit a lot compared to others. We fill some gaps when we need to, but most of our men's teams are also full of young Southwest men that have grown up through the pathway, educated locally and played cricket locally. So it's a great part of our success, because we do think it's really powerful for young people to see that and feel like they can connect with it, because if you can't, if that's not within reach, then it can feel a million miles away. It can feel a long way off anyway, but it's a great thing for our people to identify with. And really drive themselves to achieve.
Yeah, and I think also, I know on Sunday you've got a Women's Vitality Blast and you've got a concert afterwards. That must be encouraging lots of young people into the stands as well. And it's from there that the passion for the game would start. I grew up a long time ago. My dad was a Surrey fan. He was very much a county game, Red Bull game, and we would play cricket every weekend over on the local green. But the evolution of the game, I think, has been extraordinary. And we look at the game differently now than we ever did in those days. It's a much faster game, a much more exciting game, and so much more going on in the crowds than there ever was. When my old man used to go to the Oval and watch cricket, it was a quiet, sleepy place to go and watch the game. It's different now, but that must be a great way of getting the message out to young people and getting more young people interested in the game.
Yeah, it is. The women's professional game to us is quite a new exercise. It's 18 months old, and we had some great success in our first year in driving, you mentioned the concert, in actually having a dual event to drive for the standalone women's matches for people to enjoy afterwards. We very proudly drew some very hard work, drew almost 3,000 people to watch a standalone game, T20 match of the women here, which was incredible. Cricket went down to the last ball. So that in itself was really well scripted. Look, I still think you mentioned the experience with your father growing up. I think how that's a lot of passion develops. The great thing about cricket is that you can come to a T20 game here on a Friday night and there's 8,000 people and it's a hell of a buzz and a great experience. Or you can come to a different game where there's plenty of room in the stands and you can just sit amongst the solitude almost and just have a lovely day with your family and just let the pressures of the world wash over you, if you like. I think cricket does offer that. There's a pace of the game that suits whatever it is that you want. If you want to get into the hustle and bustle of T20 and really have that almost concert-like experience, we do that as well as anyone down here. 4 years in a row, we've won the atmosphere scores for the Blast. And I think anybody who comes to our place on a Friday night, we've got one tomorrow night against local rivals, Gloucester. And our women play before that, so we've got a double header. So tomorrow night will be off the charts. On Sunday, it'll be a quieter event, but busy. There'll be a different demographic. There'll be families. There'll be mums and dads with daughters and sons just enjoying a different event, a more passive event, but with something else to do afterwards. So, look, we are very conscious of that, Peter. We're very conscious of trying to drive different audiences to grow our women's game, not just from people who just watch the men's game, so therefore watch the women's game, but to build its own followship. And we're having some success at that. It's a slow process, but we're really enjoying the growth of that.
Yeah. So let me ask you, if you could change one thing about the business environment in Somerset to unlock more growth or innovation, and that includes what you're aiming to do in Taunton, what would it be?
If I had a magic wand, it would be to grow ambition. And we are heavily ambitious and we've got to contain that to a certain degree because all businesses, we can only be as ambitious as your means will allow you to be. But I feel as though there's some incredible news stories down here. There's some great corporate investment. I think there are growing opportunities. And I suppose it's a difficult thing to ask for because you can't tell people how to feel, or if people are in tough personal circumstances, it's difficult to bounce them out of that. But if the business community just developed a greater sense of ambition and, to my mind, started to feel in a united sense, and this is where the Chamber of Commerce and South West Business Council, others are starting to do some great work in trying to drag not only investment, but opportunity and interest in the region, then I think you'll see that rising tide lifting boats. And what we're really determined to try and do is, through the power of our game, knowing that it's not going to affect everybody, but through the power of our game, help lift the mood of the region and get people thinking more positively about what they can do and not continually get told what they can't.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And I guess I've got one more question I want to ask you. I've asked everybody that I've spoken to on this podcast series this last question, but it wouldn't surprise me if your answer is not that different from what you've just said, because it's what message would you like to send to young people leaving school and thinking about the job market?
Yeah, it would be similar. It would be, don't let people take you down. Surround yourself with people who will help lift your energy. Don't let people hold you back. If you've got ambition, if you've got drive, surround yourself with the right energy and the right people to help you live that ambition, because it doesn't matter where you live or where you grow up. or how fortunate or not you are as you grow up. There will be opportunity if you've got the right inner drive and surround yourself with the right people that give you that energy to help you pursue it. You can easily take the opposite path, and in some ways the opposite might be easier. But if you really want to make something of your time, there will be a way. There will be people that are happy to try and provide you with the energy to help you see your way through. Because I think the greatest thing we all need in life is purpose, Peter. We all need ambition. We all need purpose. We all need a reason to just keep raising the bar and lifting our eyes and trying to be better every day. And that's, I think, an attitude that starts at a very young age. And I'd love to see our young community really start to drive that. I was so humbled to be invited to an awards ceremony, the Pride of Somerset, which rewards young people achieving incredible things in the region. And in a world where we tend to hear, you read the news of maybe young people getting up to no good, it was the opposite. It was as young as 6 and 7 year olds who are, I don't want to overstate it, but saving lives, driving charity organisations and just doing some incredible stuff in the region. It's so inspirational. And I see these people, I hear those stories, and they're just people that have just decided, I'm going to make a difference, and have found a way. Certainly, they're the sort of stories that inspire me, is that self-made people who just decide that my life is going to be for good, and I'm going to really push something hard which is passionate to me and make a success of it. I think one of those stories, bizarrely, impressively and inspirationally, was a young chap who decided he was going to clean up the local beach. He just every day grabbed a rubbish bag and with mum and dad just walked the beach. And over a period of time, just turn it into a spectacular sight, just stuff that makes a difference and stuff that makes people proud and gives people purpose. And they're the sort of messages I would constantly drive.
It's a really inspirational message, Jamie, really powerful. Thank you very much for that. We have to finish now, and I guess that's as good a place as any to end this conversation. Just remains for me to thank you for joining me, Jamie. It's been a real pleasure to talk to you.
No, great to share with you, Peter. Thank you for the invitation, and hope we stay in touch.
Absolutely. I intend to join the cricket club when I retire and come to every day of every game.
Look forward to seeing you.
So if you'd like to find out more about Somerset County Cricket Club, visit www.somersetcountycc.co.uk, or why not go and watch a game? If you'd like to find out more about HGKC and how we work with our clients on leadership, growth through innovation and preparation for exit, please visit our website, www.hgkc.co.uk. And if you're not a member of Somerset Chamber of Commerce, please visit the Chamber website to find out how the Chamber is supporting businesses across the county. Thank you for listening, and goodbye.